Thank you very much, Acting Speaker. One of the first things that came into my mind when we were talking about people losing confidence, and I know that both sides have mentioned around the word confidence in this bill and confidence in the community, confidence in jobs. The one person that has lost confidence in his own role, in his ability to deliver for Victoria, is none other than the Premier, Daniel Andrews. How can he have any confidence that his ability to deliver and protect Victorians is there when his first reaction was to lock down every part of this state, to lock down the entire state for 22 cases at the time? From the Friday, for a 5-day period, Victoria had a total lockdown. Schools were closed. Now, some schools, without warning, didn't have time to prepare, and therefore the students had student-free days. Other schools gave work to the kids and said, just do as much as you can in that period of time. And some schools used the ability they had set up from the previous huge lockdowns of last year. And that's a major issue.
Point of order, Member for Burwood.
My point of order relates to the wearing of masks in the chamber. Now, I don't know if there are specific matters that pertain to specific members opposite, and that may well be the case. But as part of the libertarian anti-science agenda, it's clear that they are still taking the mick around the wearing of masks.
For Burwood, and I think the member that you were talking about has now worn his mask. So thank you for that. Member for Gembrook.
No dramas at all, because talking about lost confidence, and the confidence in Victoria to rebuild is around the fact that we actually need to have this place having an opportunity to have a discussion every 4 weeks about the state of emergency. And that is the biggest sticking point at the moment. Those opposite are saying around extension till December 16th. December 16th, 9 months away. The argument from this side of Parliament is everything needs to come back through this Parliament and should be scrutinised at the time based on the evidence we have. Now, on the other side, they'll continue to talk about, and I note the member for Burwood said the science, the evidence, the facts they're getting through. Can we ask then, why isn't any of that health advice released to Victorians? Yeah. Why isn't that health advice released to this Parliament? Yeah. Even to put the circumstances in on what restrictions happen in this place, we can't see. And should we have confidence in the fact that the health advice is right for this place? No. Why? Because when we asked for it the first time when they were having discussions around how many people were allowed in here, where did the advice come from? The Department of Premier and Cabinet, not from someone who was a health advisor. It was actually someone from Department of Premier and Cabinet, and it was a political decision on how they were going to operate the Victorian Parliament to suit what the Labor Party needed. And that is why we don't have confidence in it. And when you walk around my electorate and you go into shop after shop and you speak to the businesses and the pressures that are put on them, Valentine's Day, most on my side will know, I'm the first to admit, I don't actually celebrate Valentine's Day. My anniversary is very close to the date. I can't afford flowers twice in 1 week. But what I will say though, when I went to the florist in my electorate, when I went to the restaurants in my electorate, when I spoke to one of the people at the Sheraton Hotel just this week who had 87% capacity booked in for Valentine's Day, all cancelled at the flick of a switch. Restaurants throwing out food. Florists. If it wasn't bad enough they lost Mother's Day last year because Daniel Andrews decided to lift restrictions the day after, they've now lost it because he decided to put restrictions in the day before.
Cruel man.
And that has a huge impact on these small businesses. Florists in my electorate will do 3 months' trade in 1 day. And that is Valentine's Day. They will do 2 to 3 months' trade in another day of the year, being Mother's Day. You've taken away 6 months of trade from small businesses, not just in my electorate, throughout the entire state. And that is just not good enough. And yes, the member for Kew mentioned around going up to New South Wales and talking about what they're doing up there. There's obvious reasons for that. And that is simply because of the numbers. And the numbers just on this don't lie. Of the arrivals back into Victoria, 125,000 have come through New South Wales compared to Victoria at 35,666 at the time. And the cases here is for the positive rate is 20,475, or a 0.43% of tests have come back positive, compared to New South Wales at 5,140, or 0.11% of tests coming back at positive. They have more infections for the same amount of number of tests if you go Victoria versus New South Wales. And when Daniel Andrews comes out as the Premier and says it's the roll gold system that others are copying, that's like the Richmond Football Club going and copying the Gold Coast to see how they're going to win the premiership next year. It's just not going to happen. What a joke. You would not, in the wildest dreams, go to who is performing the worst to ask them, how do we become the best? It should be Daniel Andrews and the staff within the department going north and having a look at how they're doing it. I went over to South Australia. Every single place you checked in South Australia was a QR code, and it all went to Service South Australia. So when there was an outbreak, at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, there was staff in the contact tracing room who had every contact straight away. And that's still not happening here in Victoria. Because I can go to the Imperial Hotel across the road, I can scan in at the Imperial Hotel, and it goes to Mr. Yum. And if I want the details from that in contact tracing, as an organisation in the government, we have to wait until that comes through, because Service Victoria don't have it. They have to wait to get those responses. And the contact tracing here as a prime example. Just yesterday, I spoke to a man named Dom. And Dom lives outside my electorate, but he'd gone to Queensland and gone through Terminal 4 at the Melbourne Airport. And he's gone up to Queensland and he's returned via Terminal 4, gone home and went back to work. And whilst he was working, he got a text message on the Friday. Who from? Queensland Health. From Queensland, not Victoria, not the state that he lives in, not the state that he went through the airport. It was from Queensland Health 3 days later to say, you need to test and self-isolate for 14 days. Now, Dom has done the right thing. He'd been working with 6 other people in his own business, and he actually said to them, you all need to test and self-isolate until you get a negative. He was working with a customer's residence, and they had 6 people in that place who were all, he asked them, no one else, he asked them to test and self-isolate. And since then, he's had 3 emails and 2 text messages from Queensland Health. And to date, he still has not heard from the contact tracers here in Victoria when he registered at the airport, at the cafe, on his way to go up to Queensland for a funeral. And he still hasn't heard. Now, that is days ago, and we've got someone in the position like that who's doing the right thing, Acting Spec. He's doing the right thing, but not because this government's told him. He's doing it because it's the right thing to do, and he's angry. He's angry at the fact that he's had to go around and tell all these other organisations and people that he's worked with that they have to isolate because of his trip, because no one from here, when they were promised they'd contact everyone in that short period of time, and he still hasn't been contacted. If he had have got the contact when the contact tracing was supposed to be working, he wouldn't have gone to work. And that's why we can't trust the system here in Victoria. So, if Daniel Andrews as the Premier of Victoria wants to fix our system, yes, go north. Member for Burwood can make plenty of jokes about that, but go north. Or actually, you can head across to South Australia and speak to Stephen Marshall and the Premier of South Australia, who has done a wonderful job at maintaining it over there. And when you speak to people over there, they've got confidence that their Premier will do the right thing for them, in the best interest of them, at the same time keep the economy going. And that is one of the biggest issues here that the Labor government is totally missing. We understand there's a health issue, we understand the health crisis, and we understand the pandemic. And we understand the science behind it, and we can look around the world and make comparisons. But you've got to start to compare to what's happening here. And just because they're bad doesn't mean we have to try and be as bad as them. What we should be doing is saying, in Australia, we want to be the best state in this country at this time. And that means rebuilding our economy. If you want to rebuild the economy, then you've got to start to have confidence that people can do that. And the only way The only way to have confidence in the economy in Victoria is if the government of the day ensure that they have transparency, release the health advice, let people see it and make judgments of their own, and allow the economy to get going, people to get back to work, as well as protecting public safety.